Hi guys, this is James. Welcome back to the channel, and today's video is a bit clickbaity, I know, but anyway, we're going to do it. So this is 5 reasons to not buy the Lumix GH2 in 2022. Now, as you may or may not know, depending if you're a subscriber to the channel or not, we love the Lumix GH2 on this channel, but nevertheless, there are some flaws to this camera and things to consider about this camera if you are thinking about getting the Lumix GH2, particularly for filmmaking. The first reason to not buy the Lumix GH2 is the build quality of the camera. The camera is quite plastic, almost toy-like, therefore you're not getting a very rugged, durable camera body. It doesn't have any weather sealing, so you are restricted, I guess, in certain circumstances where you film in. Like, you probably wouldn't want to go somewhere that's really ice cold or somewhere where it's really, really hot, or somewhere where you could potentially drop this camera, because if you drop it, you're probably gonna break it. So build quality is the first reason to not buy the Lumix GH2. Number 2, IBIS. Now, a lot of newer camera bodies, and particularly in the Lumix Panasonic range, they have a lot of cameras that have great IBIS. The Lumix GH2 has no IBIS. You can buy optically stabilized lenses for the Lumix GH2, but nevertheless, it's always good to have the dual IS capabilities. So the Lumix GH2 has no IBIS, which could be an issue if you're shooting with manual lenses. You're gonna get all the jittery kind of motion within your shots, particularly if you're doing telephoto or any handheld stuff. Again, going back to the first reason, with the camera body, it's quite a small camera body too, so if it was a heavier, bigger, more robust body, it would help with the stabilization, I guess, with the camera, but because it's a very light camera, you're really going to pick up on those jitters. So yeah, IBIS, no IBIS with the Lumix GH2, so that is number 2 reason to not buy the Lumix GH2 in 2022. Number 3, resolutions. This is limited to HD, there is no 4K. We are getting more into the 4K realm now with video production. HD is still somewhat relevant, but if you do rely on 4K as a kind of tool, so you're shooting with your cameras in 4K with the idea of cropping in post-production, well, unfortunately with the Lumix GH2, there is no 4K, so that is not an option for you if you're going to be using the Lumix GH2 for video production work. So that's number 3, no 4K. So the 4th reason to not buy a Lumix GH2 in 2022 is the lack of variable frame rate options. You can get 60 frames per second or 50 frames per second, depending if you're shooting NTSC or PAL, but that's only in 720p. So in regards to the biggest resolution, which is full HD 1080p, you can only do 24 frames per second or 23.976 frames per second. So it's very restricted in terms of frame rate. So if you're a big slow motion 60p at 1080, you're not gonna get it with the Lumix GH2. So number 4 is lack of variable frame rates. The 5th reason to not buy the Lumix GH2 in 2022 is the fact that it's an old camera. This camera dates back from 2011, and since then cameras have moved on quite a bit. You can go back as far as, say, 2016 to find a lot more advanced tools in those cameras compared to the Lumix GH2. So the Lumix GH2 is not going to have things like Wi-Fi support or focus peaking or 4K crop modes. You know, there's a lot of really cool features that have come around in the last 7 years that you're not going to find in the Lumix GH2. So you may perhaps find the Lumix GH2 lacking in that capacity. So the 5th reason is it's an old camera that lacks modern features. So guys, what do you think about this list? I know some of you were like, what, James? The Lumix GH2 is an amazing camera, and yes, it is a very good video camera, and we do actually love the camera. So this video is a bit clickbaity, but I thought it would be a bit fun to kind of delve into the Lumix GH2. Also, I think these are reasons for people to really understand about the camera. You know, it's not all singing and dancing. It does have its flaws, and I think if you are considering getting the Lumix GH2, then these are some of the things you really need to consider. So if you want to get into some heavy duty video production work, these flaws, failings of the camera may play a big part in your overall decision whether or not to go with the Lumix GH2. So guys, let us know your thoughts about the Lumix GH2. Do you agree with the 5 points I put across today in this video? Any other points you want to argue with? Any other reasons to not get the Lumix GH2 in 2022? Then leave those in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not already subscribed to the channel. And yeah, hit the notification bell as well to stay tuned for more from us. Until next time, goodbye.